All right, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Makakodash. Shalom to you, hopeful elect men and women out there. Shalom to the body of believers, the men, women, and children. All right, that are prophesied to return in these latter days. Shalom to you all. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Grand Millstone as well. That taught me this truth. All right, and this video, real quick, is just going into this article that was seen on the Washington Post today. I'll go ahead and read the title. New California law will force retailers to have gender-neutral toy sections. All right, let me read that again. It says new California law will force retailers to have gender-neutral toy sections. All right, and this is just another testament. This is just another testament to Babylon the Great. All right, and this is just another testament of what happens when the most vile man on the planet, all right, Esau Edom, is in power, all right, is in the power seat. Okay, the man of lawlessness. Okay, the man that is adverse to the ways of righteousness, all right, and to the ways of life. All right, but what's ironic about it is you have Edomites, what look like to be Edomites. They could be, some of them could be Jakes. Matter of fact, I did see a video of this Edomite looking guy, but he might have been a Jake, because I mean, it's getting so outrageous to this point. The targeting of the children, it's getting so blatant at this point, all right, that you have a lot of people starting to realize what's going on, but it's really a deep topic, because there's so many layers to it, and there's so many different angles in which the devil, the powers that be, are targeting our children. It also makes it clear that this is the last generation. All right, when you really look and analyze the youth, in the so-called black community, I mean, just look at the youth, man. I mean, they are totally out of there, man. They're totally out of there. There's just a lot of demonic energy that they're harboring, man. They lack empathy. They lack restraint, self-control. This is definitely through the spirit. This has got to be the last generation. All right, and when you go and you look at younger children, K through 5, and you see these different things that they're doing with music and Lil Nas X, and when you look at a bill like this, it just becomes very evident that these children are polluted, man. They're polluted, and ultimately, this is sanctioned by the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, and this is part of our punishment. This is a part of our sacrifice, having to witness and having to live in such a wicked society, man. And it is vexing. All right, but we have comfort and we have hope through the Holy Scriptures. All right, so let me start off with Isaiah 10:1. It says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." All right, and clearly we can see this is an unrighteous decree. This is a wicked law. All right, which has everything to do with polluting the minds of the youth. All right, to conform them to the image of the beast. All right, and to this transhumanism agenda, all right, which is ultimately a depopulation agenda, all right, and it is confusion, man. It is confusion, all right. Anything that causes confusion, is not beneficial, you know. So let's get into this article. It's not very long, so I am gonna read it. I'm gonna try to read it at a good pace. I don't plan on this video being very long. It says a 10-year-old girl was shopping with her mother one day when she asked the question, why were some toys off limits to her as a girl, but would be okay to play with if she were a boy? And that's when it's your job as a parent, all right, to tell the truth, all right, just to simply tell the truth, man. It is a very simple concept, man, but um, we don't live in a simple world anymore, man. Let me keep going. It says the girl was the daughter of a staffer who worked for a California lawmaker. This year, Assemblyman Evan Lowe cited the girl's question as an inspiration for a bill he wrote that will force retailers to create gender neutral children's sections in the stores. All right, gender neutral children's sections in the stores. All right, so it's not enough for them to be going to the schools. All right, it's not enough for the media to be forcing it down the throat. Now, when they go to the store, all right, when they go to Toys R Us, when they go to Target, when they go to Walmart, they're going to have to be subjected, all right, to this enchantment, to this witchcraft. You know. Let me keep going. It says California Governor Gavin Newsom on Saturday signed Lowe's legislation Assembly Bill 1084, which will force large retailers to have non-gendered toy sections starting in 2024. Proponents said the requirement will help consumers comparison shop and also tamp down on gender stereotypes that hurt children who play with toys marketed to a different gender. Detractors said the law infringes on business owners' freedom to market their products and lay out their stores as they see fit. The new law, introduced by Democratic lawmakers Lowe and Christina Garcia, won't prohibit stores from having traditional boys and girls sections, but will require them to have a reasonable selection of toys and items in a gender neutral selection, regardless of whether they have been traditionally marketed for either boys or girls. All right, and this is absolute madness, man. This is crazy. Okay, this is crazy. And lo and behold, you have the good old Democratic Party, which Jake is in love with, all right, forwarding this agenda. All right, you have the so called Democratic Party, you got Biden and the crew. All right, this is what they're going for. This is what they're pushing. All right, this is what they want for you, Jake. And it is just our people don't realize that when they come up against the truth, when they come up against the men of the Lord, what they're doing is they're choosing death, all right, and they're really making manifest where their allegiance is, okay, and it is not with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, all right. So let me get a precept for that real quick. This is Proverbs 8:36. It says, "But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul, and all they that hate me love death." All right, all they that hate me love death. All right, and that's just to expound on that point, man. Um, the scriptures also say, he who is not with me is against me. Ultimately, if you're bucking up to the will, all right, of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which are the ways of righteousness. Ultimately, you are coming, you are anti, all right, Hamashiach. You are in allegiance with Satan, man, and you love death. All right, that's what the scriptures say, you know, and that's what we're doing these latter days. We're taking a stand for righteousness. All right, we're taking a stand for what is right, and it's not about getting praise. It's not about you know being put on a pedestal. All right, it's just about doing what is right because it is right. All right, and it's vexing seeing, especially Jake, you know, totally just ignore, totally not pay attention to these things, man, and continue to just feed into the system and feed into the propaganda and feed into the image of the beast. It's sickening, man. It truly is sickening. All right. And these are the type of things that make you, sigh and cry, all right, for all the abominations, all right, like it says in Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, I believe, because ultimately we're trying to receive that mark, man. We're trying to receive that thawa, that mark, that exemption from judgment. All right. So if you're in the right spirit, these type of things should really, you should they should sit on you, man. They should weigh on you a little bit, man. So all right, let me keep going. It says the requirement will apply to retailers with 500 or more employees in California. Those failing to meet it starting January 1st, 2024 will face a $250 fine for a first offense and 500 for any after that. Keeping similar items that are traditionally marketed either for girls or for boys separated makes it more difficult for the consumer to compare the products and incorrectly implies that their use by one gender is inappropriate. The law reads. Let me read that again. It says, keeping similar items that are traditionally marketed either for girls or for boys separated makes it more difficult for the consumer to compare the products and incorrectly implies that their use by one gender is inappropriate. The new law reads. And that is madness, man. That is madness. All right. The Lord created man and he created woman. All right. And they're two different, distinct entities. All right. And they were created to do different things, to do different purposes. All right. And that's what the scriptures tell us. All right. But, here we go with Satan. We got Satan doing his thing, man. Doing his thing. All right. It says Lowe was more blunt in a statement he provided to the Assembly's Judiciary Committee. Traditionally, children's toys and products have been categorized by a child's gender. In retail, this has led to the proliferation of science, technology, engineering, and mathematic-geared toys in a boys section and toys that direct girls to pursuit such as caring for a baby, fashion, and domestic life. The lawmaker wrote. All right. And that is, you know, fitting. All right. That is the way it has been. All right. The woman is supposed to care about those things. All right. The woman is supposed to care about maintaining the household. All right. Cleaning, cooking. All right. Caring for the children, teaching the children. All right. That is what she was designed to do. You know, it says the segregation of toys by a social construct of what is appropriate for which gender is the antithesis of modern thinking. To modern thinking. All right. And we understand that modern thinking is a fancy way of saying, uh, what do they say? The antithesis of modern thinking. Man, ultimately, they want people to be conformed to the image of the beast, man. All right. Ultimately, they want you to have a mindset that, lawlessness is the way to go. All right. And anything that contains, boundaries and um, structure, all right, laws, all right, specifically the law, statutes, and commandments of the Holy Scriptures, you know, that's evil, all right, that's evil, and lawlessness is good, all right, and that leads me to my next scripture, all right, this is Isaiah 5:20. It says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." All right, and that is exactly what they're doing. They're condemning, anybody who still, cleaves onto this so-called traditional way of life. All right, which is what works. All right, which is what works. As we can see, the ways, you know, of the beast, this image of the beast. All right, which ultimately goes into, Western civilization. All right, all these different, philosophies and manners of living. Um, they're unproductive, they're unfruitful, they don't work. All right, but that is going to become abundantly clear, all right, as America begins to crumble and is ultimately destroyed. All right, all praises to Yahweh Shem Shai. Let me keep going. It says the Consumer Federation of California, a nonprofit advocating for consumer rights, supported the bill. The upcoming requirement will let buyers compare products more easily by grouping similar items, the Federation said. Several business and conservative groups fought the bill becoming a law and shared refrain that business owners have it hard enough and should not be burdened with another government requirement that impedes their abilities to adapt to the free market. Retail stores are very attuned to supply and demand of their merchandise, and they are very aware of the clientele that they serve, wrote Capital Resource Institute, a public policy organization advocating for Judeo-Christian views. We do not believe it is the role of California legislature to overstep the process of the free market. Others homed in on the subject of the bill, gender. Activists and state legislators have no right to force retailers to espouse government-approved messages about gender. It's a violation of free speech and is just plain wrong. Jonathan Keller, president of the Conservative Family Council lobbying group, said in a statement. The Pacific Justice Institute, a conservative legal defense nonprofit based in Sacramento, said Lowe's legislation will impose a degendered ideology and viewpoint on retailers. This approach is both paternalistic and also communicates to Californians a disconnect with the real world challenges of parenting in an increasingly dangerous and less free society, the Institute said. All right, and California is on a whole, they're things are happening a little bit quicker in California than they're happening um, in the South and in other parts of the country, New York as well. All right, and through the spirit, you know, we know that America ultimately is going to be destroyed in its entirety. But man, California, man, with Hollywood over there, um, you through the spirit, you know, uh, the people that are not covered by Yahweh Shem Shai in California, man. Speaking as a man, man, I believe the Lord's got something special planned for California. All right. It says earlier this year, Lowe told the Sacramento Bee he was inspired when he learned of Target's 215 decision to get rid of some gendered sections. The retail behemoth is among a wave of companies making decisions in recent years based on a broader understanding of gender. Some are getting rid of men's and women's departments in favor of gender neutral shopping spaces. Whew. Oh man. Oh man. That is fucking crazy, man. Excuse my language. And many clothing manufacturers are narrowing the gap between men and women's fashion when it comes to the garments themselves as more shoppers opt for a unisex look. Man. And people don't understand this all goes back to, hermaphrodite worship and ancient idolatry, all right, and the Baphomet, all right, the Greek god Pan, all right, they believe that getting rid of the boundary of gender, all right, makes you more like a god, all right. They believe that tapping into both of those energies, makes you, elevated, all right, over somebody who is just one sex. It is actually a part of, their religion. That's what people are not understanding. Okay, and this is being forced down the throat, okay, of the general public and our children. It says in November, Vogue, acknowledging the fashion world, had up to the point been driven by the gender binary, ran an article titled A Simple Declaration: The Future of Retail is Genderless. Wow. The future of retail is genderless. Retailers and brands should be looking at gender fluid apparel as an opportunity. Wow. Eric Smith, senior analyst at Coresight Research, a firm specializing in retail and technology research, told CNBC. It absolutely can't be ignored. It will definitely be impacting the fashion trends of the future. The retailers and brands that are doing it now are really going to be ahead of the curve. Lowe acknowledged as much when speaking about his legislation. As much as I'd like to think of this as watershed legislation, this is something the industry is already doing. We're just trying to play catch up. California lawmakers have tried to pass such legislation at least 3 times, with past iterations of the bill failing in 2019, 2020, the Associated Press reported. Man. So like I said, this article is on the Washington Post. It says the title is New California Law Will Enforce Retailers to Have Gender Neutral Toy Sections. You know, um, so with that, I'll say shalom.